Okay. So in the last class, we were talking about the buffer, double buffer, then pop-up menus, how you can create pop-up menus in computer graphics application, and how you can use the timer, what is usage of the timer, what do you mean by double buffering. So all those things. So it was for building the interactive applications or interactive games, and also we studied about like instances, instance table, and if you want to delete some instances in a array, so how do you do that? So we will just replace that object with the word like with the letter like O, which indicates it is not there. So the object doesn't exist. So, see if you think about the designing of mechanical objects or trying to create a character for a gaming applications, here or if it is a painting, if it is an interactive painting means, so here you can see few features, the features which are used in this applications, like so they will make use of the multiple windows. So single window will not be there, the multiple windows will be there, multiple viewports will be there for displaying so many information. So all the information will not be displayed in single frame, so it will be splitted across multiple windows, multiple viewports also. And also, in those applications we will have, the program will have the ability for creating the object, deleting the object. See all this interactive program. So these programs will have ability to create the object, delete the object, and also to save the objects. And also they will have options like keyboards will be there, menus will be there. So if you consider an example of CAD program, so in the CAD programs and all, you can create the polygon, you can delete the polygon, you can select and you can move the polygon. So like these are the some of the aspects where some features which you can find it in the interactive program. So now I've written some 7 points. No, so these are the features which are to be used, which are to be used, or a very good application program, a very good interactive program will consist of these features. So these features are so there should not be any flicker. So there should not be any flicker. So we show that like the object, the image doesn't, the object or the scene should doesn't get distorted. The image should be displayed without any disturbance, or there should not be any blur on the screen. Or if you refresh or if you resize, the image size should not get distorted. So one thing. So this is the first. So the display should be smooth. The display should be smooth, where it should not have any artifacts or it should not have any flicker. So whenever you're refreshing that, the image should not get disturbed. So the second feature is like how you can enter, how you can enter and display the information. So a methods for giving the input to the system, and and to display those informations. And the third option is like it should have the interactive devices. It's not only that you can interact with by the usage of keyboard or the mouse, even you can include the other input devices for interacting with, um, for making interaction on the display devices. And also it should give feedback to the user, uh, and if user makes any error, it has to tolerate that, or it has to suggest the user that what will be the actual input or what might be the actual input. And also it should be very easy to use. It should be easy to use, like even a person who is not having any knowledge about the application should be easy to use, or he should feel comfortable in learning that, using that application. And also it should look good, it should also look good, it should also look good. So visually also it should be attractive. So all this thing, all the 7 points are being uh, expected. All the 7 points are being uh, vector which you should consider. All the 7 points should be considered when you are trying to generate or develop an applications which are interactive. So now we'll talk about some of the drawbacks. Or some of the limitations of geometric rendering. So when we talk about this, so when this when you're calling this menu, when menu callback is being called, so the menu will appear on whatever the display was, like whatever was on the display. This so once you make the selection for this, the menu will disappear and the screen will be restored to the previous state. So like this, and also, what do you mean by this rubber banding means? So it is a technique. It is a technique which will give you the rubber band is elastic, no? So like that, it will give you the elastic nature of the drawing devices, of the pointing devices for drawing the primitives. For drawing the primitives, so we will have the elastic nature. So using this technique, um, you can you can get the elastic nature for an object to draw the primitives. So for example, like, see, what do you mean by rubber banding means? It's a technique to define the elastic nature of the pointing devices to draw some primitives. So for example, you want to draw a line. So how do you draw the line? So we know that to draw the line, we should need the first end point of the line and the last end point of the line. That is the beginning of the line and the ending of the line. You need one end of the line and other end of the line. So once you get this position, if you move the mouse, from this side to this side, the line will be automatically start, and it will end when you release the mouse button, so that the line will be drawn in this process. So operations. So what logical operations are supported? Are supported? So in writing mode, we have two modes. So we have two modes of writing. One is the replacement mode, and the second one is exclusive or mode. We have replacement mode and we have exclusive or mode. So how this mode will be used? So um, so we know that in the replacement mode. So when the computer graphics program specifies, or it will give you some information about the primitives, so then that primitive will be stored as a set of pixel. So when I want to display something, so how this OpenGL will work means, it will render that object as a set of colors into that will render that object into a set of colors, and that details will be stored in one buffer called drawing buffer. So that is how the object will be drawn. So it will get the details of that object in terms of pixel colors. It will get the details of that object in terms of pixel color.
Sushank?
Yes, sir. Hello. Yes, sir.
Okay. ಯಾವ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟು?
Computer graphics and visualization.
CG?
Sir.
ಯಾವ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್?
6th day, sir.
ಓಕೆ. 6th day. ಯಾವ ಮಾಡ್ಯೂಲ್?
5th module, sir.
CO5?
Sir.
Knowledge level 2. Section A. Okay. ಇದು ಬ್ಯಾಚು 19 to 23.
23.
Okay, 19 to 23.
Sir, 18
Hello?
to 22, sir. Sorry, 2018 to 2022.
18 to 20. Okay, thank you, thank you.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay. See, I was talking about this logic operations. No. Mm, So functions in logical operations, we have two kinds of functions which will give us the writing mode. So one is the replacement mode. So we have first one is called as the replacement mode, and the second one is called as the exclusive. In this, how it will work. So there is a program where I want to write to display an object, where I want to display an object. So this object will be rendered in terms of pixel. It will be rendered in pixels, and it will be stored in a buffer called drawing buffer. So this is how an object will be drawn. So if it is in case of default mode, in case of default, so what will happen means first we'll start with the color buffer. Um, then we will make that color buffer with color buffer will be initialized with black color. Then after that, we will draw the color. We will draw the color as per our requirement. So as per our requirement, we will draw the color. So one second, one second. Sorry for the disturbance. Some call had come, so I just cut. Because of that, some disturbance was there in the network. So we are talking about these two modes. One is the replacement mode, and the second one is exclusive R mode. So here, how the object will be displayed means, so it will be displayed in terms of pixels, which will be stored inside a buffer called drawing buffer. So how this how the default mode will work means in the buffer we have this drawing buffer. So in this drawing buffer, the first thing is we will clear this buffer. We'll clear this buffer with black color. So we'll clear with this buffer with uh, uh, the black color. So then we will draw some pixel. So first we will clear this drawing of black value. Then we will draw a rectangle. Then we'll have the which we like. So this color can be green color, this color can be red color, this color can be blue color. Then this color will be copied into the black buffer. So then this color will be copied into the, I mean, not the black buffer, into the drawing buffer, which will replace this black with the color which we are copying. So this can be red, this can be blue, this can be green. So this process is known as the replacement mode, or which is the first one as a default mode. So what is this default mode means? We have a drawing buffer. So in the drawing buffer, first we will initialize the drawing buffer with the black value. After that, what we will do means we will create a drawing rectangle. We'll create a color rectangle with some size, so that data or that color details will be copied into this drawing buffer. So replacing those black color with the color which we want to display. So this kind of mechanism is known as copy mode or replacement mode. So this replacement mode is also known as copy mode. So this is how it works. So you can see the operations. You can see the operations like. mm, so this is a logical operations. No. So this will be the color pixel. So this will be the color pixel buffer. So this will be the color buffer. So this will be the replacement, no destination. This will be the replacement destination pixel. So here we are performing the logical operation. So this will be my source pixel. This will be my source pixel, and this will be the read pixel. Read pixel. So what this diagram is doing? What this diagram is doing means writing the source pixel into the destination pixel, which is nothing but the color buffer. So here it is reading the pixel and is performing the OR operation. So the source pixel is performing the OR operation with the read pixel, and it is giving an output as destination pixel buffer. So this is a model. So here the pixel which I want to write, the pixel which I want to display it on the color buffer, it is known as the source pixel. Source pixel is the pixel which I want to display it, which I want to write it on the color buffer. So I'll call it as source pixel. And um, and what is this destination pixel means? So inside the drawing buffer, we are going to replace it by the source pixel. So that is called as the destination pixel. I'll just draw this diagram so that it will look easy to understand also, really easy to explain also. Okay, so now um, so this is the OR operation, no? So I'll write this is the source pixel. This is the source pixel. So here I'm going to replace it. Which I'm going to get is the destination pixel. Destination pixel color buffer is known as the source pixel. So here this one, here the color, if I want to give the blue color, so the blue color will be source pixel. If I want to give green color will be source pixel. If I want to give red color will be source pixel. Now what is the destination pixel means? The output of this, the output of the and read pixel, the input, when the input operation, when the logical input operation is performed, you'll get some output. That output I'm calling destination pixel. So the pixel which is going to be replaced inside this buffer, it is known as buffer, which will be replaced, which is going to get replaced by this source pixel. So we will call it as the destination pixel. So uh, uh, so and also here um, here how the operations will take place means this bits, no, this bits will be the bits in each pixel, the bits in each pixel, I mean this two operation, the bits in each, this bit 1 and bit 2, the bits in each pixel will be combined by performing XOR operation, by performing exclusive OR operation. So for how we can denote that, means, so if we have a source pixel represented by yes, and the destination pixel which is denoted by d, so the or operation for this will be like destination exclusive or uh, and the source or mode, in the exclusive or mode. So each bit pixel will be combined by using the exclusive or logical operation. And also, one special property of this exclusive OR operation is that if you are applying this XOR operations twice, it will come back to the original state. It will come back to the initial state. So why this can be used means if you are using this XOR mode means you can erase it. You can erase it by applying the XOR operation because if you are applying this XOR operation twice, you will get the original state. So if you have drawn something, you want to delete that. So if you want to delete that means you can do that by applying the XOR operation. So that is in the XOR mode. If you do something wrong, so that can be erased by applying the XOR operation. So this is with respect to the exclusive OR mode, and also this OpenGL will support some 16 logical modes, one like copy mode, um, then enable the color logic operation mode. So all these things, so it supports 16 mode. In that you can learn at least 2 to 3 modes. So one mode is the copy mode, so which is the default mode, which is the default mode. So if you want to change the mode means again you have to go, yeah, again you have to the value like GL underscore color underscore logic operation. So if you use color underscore and also if you want to change and if you want to enable to XOR mode means you can call GL logical operation will be exclusive or mode exclusive or mode. No. So, hmm, if we have some some um, so I would like to draw some letter, which is if I want to draw this line, if I want to draw the line which is a color combination one. So exclusive OR mode. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here I'll apply 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. So when I perform the exclusive or when I perform the exclusive or when I perform the exclusive or of this line, this background color with the values which I have supplied, I will get this color combination. I will get this as the result. So so if I want to draw a line or draw a line which is a one. Initially, my screen will be white. So if I want to draw this color combination of green and blue by using exclusive OR mode means, so then I can give then I can give value as the input. I can give this value as the input. So because I know that the exclusive OR of this background color, white color, with this input line which I passed will give me the resultant color which I want. And here exclusive OR operation is being applied bitwise. So this like this you can use the values to get the required colors. So this is with respect to the exclusive or and how you can be used to get the colors. The next one is regarding the next one regarding the crossover. The next one is regarding the cross. Oh, sorry, not the crossover. Overlay planes. The cursor and the overlay planes. See, this by the usage of rubber banding. So it will put burden on the graphical systems where the display has to be updated. The display has to be updated constantly. So because of this rubber banding, there is a significant burden on the graphical systems because all the display has to be updated continuously. So even though in order to reduce that burden, we are using the exclusive OR mode. So even though that exclusive OR mode simplifies the process, but there also the system has to keep on updating, like it has to read the present destination pixel before computing the new destination pixel. So it has to keep on reading the present destination pixel before reading the new, or before performing the computation for the new destination pixel. So so in order to reduce this burden, so one technique which is provided by the hardware, one technique or one support which is provided by the hardware is by providing one extra bit in the color buffer, by providing one extra bit inside the color buffer, um, through the help of overlay plane. So in order to reduce this burden, so what hardware is doing, see, once one support is provided by the hardware for giving some extra bit, for by providing extra bit in the color buffer by making by the usage of overlay planes. So this overlay planes, for example, we know that the color buffer will have 8 bits for red color, 8 bits for green color, and 8 bits for blue color. So now we will have one overlay plane which will consist of one red color, one green color, and one blue plane. So so how to tell this means, so we have this is the red overlay, this is the uh, this is the plane which consists of red color. So we have 8 bits like this, we have 8 bits like this. So similarly we'll have it for the green, and similarly for blue. So now we are adding one extra bit which is taken through the support, by the support of hardware. So here what we are doing is, here we are adding the overlay planes, one for the red color, one for the blue color, and one for the green color. So um, so these values will be used for updating to the color buffer. So this is how we can use this overlay buffer for reducing the burden on the graphical system. So this overlay planes, the support will be provided with the help of hardware. The support is provided with the help of hardware itself. So this is with respect to this overlay planes. Now we have curves. So in curved surfaces also, here we are going to learn about the Bezier curve, which is important. So we have some of binomial coefficient which should be computed, and using that binomial coefficient, how you can draw the curve. So we have an equation. So using that equation, you are going to draw the curves. So that we'll call it as a Bezier curve. So here the first one is like so. Um, See, you cannot use polygon. So always you will not be using the polygon. So sometimes, so always you cannot. Always the graphical objects will not be like this. Always the graphical objects will not be like a polygon. So sometimes the polygon will have some curves. So sometimes the polygon will have some curves. So you should have some mechanism. You should have some mechanism to draw the objects which are curved. So, for example, the flag, the flag when it is the flag when it is you can see the flag when it is flying. So it will be in the form of a curve itself. It will be in the form of a curve itself. So you should have. So always. If you want, if the flag is like, see, the flag will not be when the flag is like see when the flag is unfurled, so it will be in the form of curve itself. So so here you need to generate the curve. If you want to represent a flag, so you need to generate the curve object instead of polygon. So for generating the curved objects, first thing is you should know how it can be represented either in the parametric form or non-parametric form. So when you're talking about the curve, for that you should derive the equation for generating the curve. So this equation can be generated in two forms. Um, one is the stationary and the other one is sorry, one is not the stationary, one is the parametric form and the other one is non-parametric form. So see the flag when it is when the see when you're when the flag is flying, so because of the wind issues, you know how it will look. So when it is stationary means when you're placing it on the wall and all. So in that situation, or when you're packing it inside and you're storing it somewhere, so it will be represented in the form of a rectangle. But when it is flying, because of the wind effect, or because of the wind factor, so it will be in the curved form itself. So for this reasons, you need a mechanism for generating the curve objects instead of the polygon. So when you're talking about the curved surfaces means, we need equations to represent them. So these equations can be in the parametric form or in the non-parametric form also. So for that, the first thing is how the curve is represented in the parametric form. So how it is represented in the parametric form means, um, see a curve in the plane has the form c of t is equal to x of t comma y of t. So it is like x comma y coordinates itself, and the curve in the space has the form c of t is equal to x of t, y of t, and z of t. So this is a parametric equation. So this is a parametric equation. So here, what is x of t, what is y of t, what is z of t? So here x of t, y of t, and z of t are the coordinate functions. So I told you that we have to express this our curved object either in the parametric form or non-parametric form. So when the object parameter is given, when the object description is given with respect to its dimension, then you can represent them by using the parametric form. A curve in the plane has the form which is given by c of t is equal to x of t, y of t, and curve in the space. So plane means two dimensions, so that's why xt, yt, and space means it's a three dimension which is having the form xt, yt, zt. So we know that when the object description is given with respect to its dimension, so you can represent them by making use of parametric representation. A curve in the plane is represented with the form c of t is equal to xt, yt, and the space means three dimension xt, yt, zt. So what is this xt, yt, zt means? They are the coordinate functions. They are the coordinate functions. If you're what is this so what is the C of t means? C of t is the uh, parameterization of this constant C. So C we call it as the trace. Uh, what is the C of t means? C of t is the parameterization. It is a parametric curve which is defined by a coordinate function which is known as the polynomial curve. And also the degree of this polynomial curve, we know that the degree of the polynomial curve will be the highest power of variable occurring in that function. So if it is x square means it is in the square, the degree is like 2. If it is cube means the degree will be in 3. So like that. So degree and polynomial, so this is related to maths. See, the polynomial curve will be defined by the polynomial coordinate function called as the polynomial curve. What is the degree for this polynomial curve means? It will be the highest power of the variable that is occurring in the coordinate functions. So what is this non-parametric form? What is this non-parametric form means? So if with respect to dimension means parametric form, when the measurement is in terms of the reference frame, when the measurement is in terms of reference frame means, then the representation is termed as non-parametric. So here we have this function, we f of 1 is equal to x, y, z is equal to 0, or z is equal to a function of x comma y. So this is a representation. This is a representation of a surface in the non-parametric form. So here, what is x, y means? They are the coordinate positions of a um, uh, points of a parameter where the curve is satisfying the equation like y is equal to. So what is this x comma y? What is this x comma y? So here the x comma y are the coordinate positions of a point where we are satisfying the equation y is equal to f of x or x is equal to g of y. We are satisfying this equation. So this is how it is being represented in the non-parametric form. And also we have quadratic surfaces. In quadratic surfaces we are going to talk about sphere, we are going to talk about ellipsoid, and we are going to talk about torus. So we'll discuss about this in the next classes. I think we have the time is already 12:30. So we'll talk about this. We'll talk about this quadratic surfaces. So like here also we'll talk about how the sphere is represented. How we can calculate the value of x, value of y, and value of z when it is represented in the parametric form. And also the same thing will be repeated. The same thing will be repeated for this ellipsoid. Also, how the ellipsoid is represented. What is the Cartesian representation for this ellipsoid? How do you calculate the value of x, y, and z? And after that, we are going to talk about the torus also. So here thing is how it is represented and what are the values of x, y, and z. Then we'll talk about the functions. Then we'll talk about the functions which are there to represent this quadratic surface and cubic surface functions. So after this we are going to talk about this Bezier curve. So where this equation is important. So this equation and these equations which can be used to write it programmatically, how it is written programmatically, all these things we'll talk about in the next class. So I'll just stop the class now. So whatever is there, we'll see in the coming classes. So in the coming classes, we'll be talking about the quadratic surfaces, functions, all these things. And after that, then we'll go with the Bezier curve and properties of Bezier curve. All these things we'll see in the coming classes. Okay, I'll stop the class then.